Howdy, I'm Jimmy. Thanks for joining me today. It's time to talk about war. What is it good for? Total enslavement of humanity. That's why we have wars, is to keep humanity enslaved. Duh. That's why we send Billy Blue Jean out into the desert to go kill the people with the towels on their heads, right? Is so we can continually be enslaved. It's the whole purpose. And then a funny thing about this war is how much it costs, how much money is wasted in the war, and how the United States can send, what is it, like $40 billion worth of missiles out. Or no. It's actually like $40 billion worth of defensive missiles. So Iran shoots a couple of drones that are worth like $20,000 at the United States bases and at some carrier ships. The United States shoots billions of dollars of missiles and and just wastes all that money in war. And then, oh man, now. Well, why do you think Trump was like, man, we need to increase the military budget from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion? It's about making you poor. That's what war is good for. It makes everybody poor. Haven't you heard the song? Come on. I was trying to figure out, why would they release these Epstein files? Why would they put out all this crazy evidence about how all these politicians, all these high society, the head of Harvard, the head of Silicon Valley, all these tech companies, why would they incriminate them all? Why would they show how Bill Gates is a pervert? Why would they, did not make any sense to me. I already knew all that stuff was going on. That they're basically cannibal PDF files that run the White House, that run the United States government. Like, we already knew that. People paying attention. Why the heck would they release these files? Now I see. They released it so that the people of Iran can have an honorable battle against a demonic force. You really got to understand how the script goes, especially the scripture that they've wrote for most people to follow. In the script of the Middle East, man, it's an insane play going on right now. But it's pretty obvious. One of the first thing that happened when they attacked Iran, I think it's like 12 days, 13 days ago. And ever since then, Iran has done about 37 waves of missile attacks. So you're finally seeing the East, right? Russia, China, Iran. Well, you've seen all their capabilities with the Russia versus Ukraine, and how Russia has just decimated the Ukraine. They've destroyed the whole Ukrainian army. There's nothing left. But anyway, now here's another example of how the East is just going to destroy the West, and how this script is playing itself out. On the first day of the bombings, the United States bombed a little girls' school, killed about 160 little girls and like a dozen teachers or so. In a hospital in the same bombing. Like, it's just, and you gotta ask yourself, why would that be the first thing the United States bombs, is a bunch of little girls at school? Why would they do that? It's the same question of, why would they release these Epstein files? They need the people in the Middle Eastern countries. Like, the people in the Middle East already know what a demonic force the United States is, and Israel. But man, you got to remind them. Because one key factor behind all of this is they're trying to unite the Middle East into one big faction, one big controllable group. It doesn't matter what the heck they believe. It's just unite them somehow because they're a bunch of tribal people, like in Africa, trying to unite Africa. Good luck. So that's what all this is really about. Creating such a demonic force of Israel, the United States, example after example, to try and unite these people against a demonic force so that one day they can just become one big block that's easily controllable. So I've said all that, but don't get it mistaken. Iran, Russia, China, the United States, Israel, all the European countries, they are all working for the same groups. They are all under the control of secret societies, intelligence groups. They're all playing their part, okay, to fulfill this script of World War III. And I just figured not a lot of people are going to have this angle. There's a lot of, like in my last talk, there's a lot of black and white, ones and zero people, right? The United States, you know, you're going to hear a lot of people saying Netanyahu has control over Trump and Trump is doing this all for Israel. Israel is a made-up front for this Illuminati New World Order. It's not a country. It's an idea that has served them well. It's not about any particular country. It's not about any particular religion. It's about the entire story and transforming this world into what these people want it to be, right? A technocracy. Let me catch my breath. I get fired up in these talks, and it's such a challenge for me because I'm a detailed guy. So I could just sit here for hours and hours and point out all these tiny little details, and you as a listener, it'd probably be too much, you know. So I really want to consolidate as much of this as I can into as few words as I can. And then you research yourself, or you already know, okay? But the script is playing out right now, and it's gonna have an effect on everyone, okay, this war. And I'll give you a few details that the news is not giving you. Like, first of all, the Western media, like everything else that ever happens that's important, they will lie to you about every single detail of anything important. So what is their motto right now? Short-term pain for long-term gain, right? Pay at the pump so that we can control the Middle East one day. It's, you know, Does that remind you, you know, short-term this, and then it just, it's long-term hell is what they're creating, guys. It ain't no, like, but I got to play this little clip for you because it's what they're all saying.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short-term.
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 Short-term and long-term.
Short-term blip.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
So in order to manipulate society into the next banking system, you have to have World War III. You have to have famines. You have to create desperation. They've already trained the public to go to the grocery store, to go wait in line, right? To be dependent and not self-sufficient. So you have a giant catastrophe waiting to happen during this World War phase. You got to understand, they are producing food shortages right now. They've been blowing up factories, blowing up Ukraine. That was like the breadbasket of the world. The Strait of Hormuz being just... And the Strait of Hormuz is an interesting thing right now because the media is just lying about every little bit of it. Iran said that they didn't put any mines down, but they could any moment. They could, because the way it works nowadays, you don't need a ship. You shoot a missile and it drops into the water and you make a mine. Okay, it's called new technology. But anyway, what happened at the Strait of Hormuz is as soon as the war started, all the insurance companies dropped all their coverage of all those boats. So you got to understand what's going on with those boats there in the Strait of Hormuz and how they're not moving. At least the Western ships, right? Because the Eastern ships, they have no fear. They're on the good guys' side, right? They're not going to get bombed or destroyed if they move through. But if a Western ship moves through and gets destroyed, that company could be liable for whatever leaks into the ocean, for whatever cleanup has to happen, on top of whatever cargo they just lost. So you got to understand how these wars have everything to do with the money, the insurance, the banking systems. I mean, that's the core of what really starts the wars, is the economics of it all. But see, they started this war to economically attack you and me and everybody in the West. They need to make us poorer. They need to stop anybody from having a chance at self-sufficiency, right? They're getting real desperate with these wars. It's just like 1984, Brave New World. It's all just wars of Eurasia that like nobody really is there and can see and verify any of it. But we're all going to be screwed over by the results of it, right? So getting back on track to the central idea of this talk and how it's really about World War III and it's about the fall of Israel. It's about the end of Zionism and Christianity at the same time. It's about the end of Islam as well. So it's like it is the apocalyptic end that all these scripts and scriptures have been talking about. It's all going to happen here. And it was all just to transform your society into a techno-slave society instead of an analog slave society. It's pretty analog right now because there's still people involved in the slave decisions and enslaving the people. But this next version of human slavery that they have planned digitally, automated, your body's tracked and traced, there's sensors, there's drones in the sky, like you don't understand what they have planned and how these are the beginning steps to get you there. Just like go back 20 years, go back 25 years to 9/11, 2001, September 11th. Go back then and see this war on terror, right? And how, they started a war on terror. which we all know it was the United States government that killed all those people in those buildings so they could go to war in Iraq. There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right? What did they end up doing? They get rid of Saddam. They create a big vacuum of power to where Al-Qaeda, right? Al-Qaeda and ISIS was able to rise up, and the West gives them weapons, and then they go around cutting people's heads off and hearts out. I mean, can't you see how this stuff goes and how all of it is backed by Western countries, Western intelligence agencies, and covered up by the media, all the propaganda? But yeah, it's the NPCs are going to fall for all of this. And so I'm just putting this video out to kind of, hey, if this ain't your specialty, I kind of feel like this is something I pay close attention to. And I have been for over a decade or more. Ever since I got into conspiracies, I was like, oh my God. Of course, all of these countries are just working together and faking wars, faking drama. It's so fake. It's just like your Democrats and Republicans, your red versus blue, your black and your white. It's all fake sides, fake divisions. And it only works on NPCs. Pretty clear to me that only an NPC goes to war. Only an NPC chooses a side in this stuff. So to end this video, I'm just going to throw out my predictions about this whole thing. It pretty much seems like there's going to be terror attacks in the United States. This war with Iran is going to go on and on and on. And I forgot to tell you, the United States has already had its greatest military failure in all of history. All of the United States bases around Iran in all those Middle Eastern countries have been decimated. Like that first day when the United States and Israel attacked Iran, Iran hit back and destroyed all of their radar and surveillance and targeting systems. Like, it's just like what's going on in Ukraine and how warfare has changed. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the technologies that have come out and how different things are, and how floating a bunch of boats with F-15s on an aircraft carrier with bombs, like that's 30 years ago warfare. Today's warfare is precision missile strikes over and over again with drone warfare to overwhelm the defenses. So while Russia has had all their practice destroying Ukraine with this new precision drone missile warfare, now it's Iran's turn to grow their military and to precision attack the outdated West's strategy. But you got to understand, they're doing it with lower technology, way lower cost. And the way that when Iran destroys all this expensive crap, now we're going to be taxed more. Now all the defense contractors get all their money. Like, can't you see how war works and feeds the demon machine in this realm? And I know, like, anybody watching this, they're not into war. They didn't want this to happen. But I'm just trying to tell you, this is the end of the United States hegemony, right? The United States superpower status over the world. This is it. That's my big prediction. This war will be the war that goes down as the end of the United States empire. Unless they just take out their directed energy weapons and melt everything. But that's not how this works. This is a script that's meant to trick people. It's not a genuine conflict to where one side is actually fighting for the people of their country, right? It's just a small gang of cannibal PDF files. And I guarantee you, the head of Iran, the head of China, the head of Russia, Putin, they're just as guilty as Trump and all the Epstein class, right? This whole Epstein regime. Come on, the whole world is run by an Epstein regime. Snap out of it. There is no good guy when it comes to countries and slavery and these wars. And it's why I'm a neutral observer, okay? I'm a gray person in this. I'm just explaining to you how the manipulation and the fake stuff works. I'm not cheering any of it on. And I don't think by me saying any of this is going to stop any of it. I'm just kind of, taking aim, shooting my arrow, seeing how accurate I will be in the next coming years. It's fun. Just fun for me to do this. And maybe there's some people that will gain some insight, into what's going on in the world around them. Maybe this conflict will wake them up to what's been going on. I don't know. But I feel like, this is worth talking about. Iran's war with the Epstein regime. I love you all. Enjoy.